Hello, friend, and welcome back to Couch Tales, Why We Do What We Do, the podcast where we dive into the funny, sometimes not so funny psychology of what makes us tick. I'm your host, Analia, and today we're tackling a mystery that has puzzled parents, teachers, and even teenagers themselves. What is teen angst, and why do they do it? We're talking about that magical time when your once sweet kid suddenly acts like they're auditioning for a soap opera, rolling their eyes so hard that they might sprain something, speaking in one-word responses and reacting to simple requests like, "Can you take out the trash?" as if you just asked them to climb Mount Everest barefoot. So what's really going on in that teenage brain? Why do they seem so dramatic, distant, and let's be honest, a little exhausting? Let's break it down. Picture this. 8-year-old Jake comes running into the house, excited to tell his mom about his day. He hugs her like she's the best thing in the world, then sits next to her happily chatting away. Fast forward to 15-year-old Jake, same house, same mom, but now, instead of hugs, there's a grunt. Instead of excitement, there's a barely audible "fine" when she asks about his day. And if she dares to say, "I love you," in public, it's an immediate vanishing act. Did Jake stop loving his mom? No. But something did change: his brain, his hormones, and his psychological need for independence. Way back in the day of hunter-gatherers, kids had to eventually separate from their parents to survive. If they stayed dependent forever, they wouldn't be able to start their own families or function in the world. Fast forward to now, and that same instinct kicks in, except instead of leaving the tribe to hunt, teens are pulling away emotionally to prepare for independence. Psychologists call this individuation. It's the process where kids stop seeing themselves as an extension of their parents and start figuring out who they are on their own. So when Jake rolls his eyes at his mom, it's not that he doesn't love her, it's his brain practicing for adulthood. Number 2, the "can't love you like I did at 3" effect. Remember when toddlers worshiped their parents? They wanted to hold their hand all the time, sit in their lap, and follow you to the bathroom, which, let's be real, was cute, but also a little much. That kind of attachment is necessary for survival at age 3. But if a 17-year-old clung to their parents like that, they'd never leave home. They'd never go to college, get a job, or start their own life. So teens instinctively put up walls. Not because they don't love their parents, but because they have to love them differently in order to grow up. Number 3, the drama is biological. If you think teens are dramatic, you're not wrong, but they're not doing it on purpose. It's their brain chemistry. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that controls logic and decision-making, isn't fully developed yet. Meanwhile, the amygdala, which controls emotions, is on overdrive. This means, number 1, teens feel emotions way more intensely than adults. Number 2, they react before they think. And number 3, small problems feel like the end of the world. So when a teen slams their bedroom door because you said no to a sleepover, their brain literally processes that moment as if it's a life-altering crisis. Teen angst isn't new. Ancient societies also had to deal with rebellious teenagers. Back then, a teen's rebellion might have looked like refusing to learn how to hunt properly, sneaking out to another tribe's fire, daring to question the elders. Now it's blasting music that makes adults cringe, arguing over curfews, and texting at dinner instead of talking. But the reason behind the rebellion is the same. Teens are hardwired to push boundaries so they can eventually leave the nest. So how to survive the teen years without losing our minds? If you're a parent, friend, or anyone dealing with a teenager, here are a few science-backed ways to handle their angst without starting World War III. Number 1, don't take it personally. That eye roll, that dramatic sigh, it's not about you. It's about their brain adjusting to independence. Number 2, give them space, but stay present. Teens may act like they don't need you, but deep down they still want your support, just not in front of their friends. Number 3, talk to them like adults. They want to be treated with respect. Instead of saying, "because I said so," try explaining your reasoning. Number 4, pick your battles. Not every hill is worth dying on. Hair dye, weird fashion choices, not the end of the world. Prioritize safety over control. And number 5, teach emotional regulation. Their brain is still developing. They need guidance in handling emotions. Help them put words to their feelings instead of just reacting. So why do teens act like this? Because they have to. They're not trying to be difficult. They're wired to push away, test limits, and figure out who they are. It's messy, it's frustrating, but it's also necessary. And one day, they'll grow out of it. They'll come back and say, hey, thanks for putting up with me when I was a teenager. Well, maybe. No promises. All right, that's it for today's episode of Couch Tales, Why We Do What We Do. I'm your host, Analia. Until next time, friend, stay curious, stay kind, and if you're dealing with a teenager, just remember, it's not personal, it's psychology.